then we had more flooding last night, and today it's clouded up. It's going to rain. It's not supposed to be as bad, but there were actually one of my friends that lives in the next town over. He has those egress windows, you can open up and walk out of. Two of those windows completely filled up with water. So you're talking 4 feet of water, or a little over a meter of water, and broke his windows in and flooded his basement.
Oh, that bad.
Whoa. Okay.
That's a lot.
And everywhere you go in town, the roads are covered with mud and rocks.
Mm. Oh, wow. That's very different from the past 2 weeks that you had then.
Yeah, well, we haven't had any rain for, 3 months? 2 months, 3 months? It's been a long time.
So it's all at the same time now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Our annual 6 inches of rainfall in a year, all in 2 days.
Yeah, the way they describe it over here is like the changes in weather. It's biblical. It's like it's nothing moderate now. Everything just goes. Okay. Anyway, good evening, everybody. We are now live. Okay, with Tuhon. Oh, Mandala, Jason Jones, and with Martin co-hosting. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Tonight we are going to interview Mandala Jason Jones regarding his journey in FMA, all his thoughts, his methodologies of teaching. So if you got any questions, please don't hesitate to put it in the comment box, and Martin is going to monitor it. So hopefully we'll be able to get more questions. So, okay. Right. So we'll start. Jump right into it. So, Mandala Jason, how did your journey into martial arts started?
Well, I started early as a kid. Like I was saying, my first martial arts official class, I started in 1989. Right at the tail end of, the big karate craze, late 70s, early 80s, everybody was watching Kung Fu movies. Yeah. So we used to go down to the store and rent a video and watch all those ninja movies and then go play fight each other, out in the streets, and begged them to put me in a martial arts class and let me do it. And it took until then, like my freshman year in high school, before they'd finally let me do it. They were sure, like everything else, that I was going to quit because I'd done sports in school.
Okay.
And wasn't too interested in them so much, football, basketball, track. But they put me in the local Kempo Karate Club. Big teaming towns that we have anyways. I mean, really small population. You had your choice. We had Kempo and we had Taekwondo. And the Taekwondo guys were working out of the rec center gym, and the Kempo guys had, we're renting a place down, just a little, a pavilion, a little wood floor studio and whatnot. And, so mom and dad threw me into that, and I just never moved. Stuck in it for years. I did the Kenpo, and with the Kenpo, I mean, we experimented because, the other guys that I was with, of course, always curious. We were, of course, buying the Black Belt magazines, and you'd go through page by page and look at the techniques and whatnot. And we would emulate the techniques. We'd go out to the parks and try to do stuff, or buying every book that you can find. I've still got probably a 40-year-old copy of Bruce Tenger's Judo, Jiu-Jitsu. The original Parker books I've got downstairs. I've even got the old one with some of the old forms in it. It's got all the misprints and pages missing. The Stephen K. Hayes books, every one of those, same thing. Got everything we could find on Stephen K. Hayes, and looked at the techniques, and Masaki Hatsumi.
Yeah. I think if we compare collections, we might find the same books in our library.
Seems like everybody was getting the same things at the same time. It must have just been really popular at the bookstores.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many years. Well, a lot of the times, couldn't afford the black belt magazine, so you would go to the bookstore, like it wasn't even Barnes and Nobles at that time. It was a different one. Or, the local grocery store, and sit there and flip through the magazines until somebody shooed you away.
Same.
Couldn't take pictures back then of the pages, right?
Yeah. No. Maybe roll that film by and yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you got the security coming behind you. It's like, no reading here, please.
Yeah. Right. Buy it or put it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we did a lot of that. There were a couple of guys that I was in the class with, a few younger guys. I mean, we ate up everything we could.
Mm-hmm.
The town, so where I'm at in Green River, we'd have a class like on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And then in Rock Springs, the class would be Monday and Wednesday. And then there was always an open class on Saturday at both schools. So as soon as one of us was old enough to drive, we were driving back and forth 4 or 5 times a week, still looking at the magazines, hitting the parks, beating the crap out of each other, and then, just trying to pick up what we could. A lot of time was spent on the back pages of that Black Belt magazine looking at all the Panther videos. It's like, oh, what are we going to learn this time, Ordering the videos. I think just recently I got rid of, must have been like 30 or 40 VHS tapes of all this old stuff. But so later on, kind of my partner in crime early on was Mandala Lamont Glass.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he moved here. He moved to the Green River area. He was working as I think first an internship and then as a wildlife biologist. And he'd kind of been through all the same stuff, but back towards Washington State, and had some different experience. So he'd done a little.
Sorry. He did Kenpo also back then.
He was a Kaju Kenpo guy.
Okay.
And being, the area, there was no Kaju, so he joined the Kenpo club.
Okay.
And he, with being in college and some of the Kaju, he had done some Kabbalah Seratas. And I think he had like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class in one of his college courses. And that guy really kind of introduced me to the idea that you could go to seminars, that those even existed. I had no idea.
Okay.
So we run back to like the Seattle area and whatnot a couple of times for Kenpo seminars. Ended up hitting one in Vegas. And then I sat on his black belt panel when we promoted him. And I remember we always do kind of like a thesis. And there was a question and answer part. And it was, what's missing from the system? What do you think needs to be improved? And he seemed to focus on weapons, not so much defense, but even the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about the other guys, but that got me thinking, because it was kind of in my brain also. And so we were the kind of guys that class ended at 9 o'clock. We were there until 10 or 10:30 at night practicing. And really at first we tried to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
Because with the spectrum of Kenpo karate, you start very simple blocking, and then you go to blocking and striking, and then you get into these very complex striking patterns as it progresses. And Mr. Parker, in the very end, tail end levels of the black belt levels, the form 7 was a double stick form, and 8 was a double knife. And we knew it was progressing that way. And he'd been working on those forms, and some guys had also had them. It was like, oh, well, here's a videotape we found. Mohammed Tabatabai, I think was his name, doing the double stick form. Well, let's do that. Oh, well, he's doing just Kenpo techniques with the stick. So going through all of our Kenpo techniques, trying to adapt knife, trying to adapt stick, and it's like, really working out. So he did some Kabbalah Seratas, and it's like, well, let's try to inject that into what we're doing. And well, this Filipino stuff looks really cool. Let's get some more videos. And again, back to Panther Video. What are we going to find? And then finding stuff online. I remember spending time eBay, just put in Eskrima and search. Oh, there's some sticks to buy. Oh, there's some, you know, practice boppers for hitting each other, getting the mass, and just bought up everything and that we could and try to emulate that and adapt it to what we were doing. Before, you know, we kind of came to the realization that we were spending a lot of time and effort reinventing the wheel. And, you know, there's only so much that you can get from training on videos. I mean, even less so than what you get training online, because no one's there to evaluate you or give you. It's like, it's literally, you know, I'm paused at the, I don't know if you guys remember the the VCR.
Yeah,
play. And I had to play pause. Some of them had slow motion on it and watching, and it's like, oh no, he's moving this way. Was that his right foot or was that his left foot? You know, spend a lot of time.
Every time you use slow motion, it's destroying the tape, and
yeah, it does.
right. And the quality gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we spent a ton of time doing that. Ended up, you know, like I said, buying the sticks, getting the mask, because one of the video series that we got into really heavily was Dog Brothers Martial Arts, their first 5 series. I remember scraping together money to, you know, share and purchase this, and he would buy it, and somebody may have made copies of it, and we shared. And again, going back and looking, and it's like, oh, let's put this together in a curriculum for ourselves and teach this stuff. And look at these guys, how they fight. It's like, let's fight like that. And we go out and just beat the holy crap out of each other with no real direction or focus other than hit the other guy with a stick harder than he's hitting you.
Well, I think everybody goes to that stage.
Oh my God. Well, we even had those like, early first generation fencing masks that you would hit them and they would just crush on your face, and we'd come back and it's like everybody's bleeding with waffle tread on their face.
Okay.
All the skin would be raked off your knuckles from punching somebody or hitting them too close with the stick. And so we did that for quite a while, and then probably right around 2002, one of the other students in the Kempo school brought me a flyer. He says, hey, you guys are doing this knife and stick. He said, I saw this flyer. I don't know if you'd be interested in it. And it was then MNG, Jared Wihongi, and Grand Tuhan.
Yeah. All right.
Like, Grand Tuhan Gahe. It's a 3-day seminar Saturday in Salt Lake City. We did a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That, you know, it was, I can't remember, a week or 2 weeks in the future or something. But he's like, yeah, I saw this over like at the rec center or something and brought it to us. And we contacted Jared by that number. And before that, we went down to Salt Lake City. So that's a 160-mile drive, 2.5, 3 hours for us. Okay. Went down and caught one of his regular school classes. And then we went to the seminar, and all these video materials and all this paperwork. I mean, I've still got manila folders probably of this stuff. We just like threw it to the side. It's like we spent all this time doing this, but now we finally found someone.
Yeah.
And you know, it's I guess you could say the rest is history, because I mean we've been with Jared since, and it was every 3 or 4 weeks we would drive to Salt Lake. We would do his regular 2-hour class, and then we'd pay for an hour or 2-hour private, and then we'd come back, and then all of those nights after class for that extra hour or hour and a half, whatever, Saturdays, Sundays, we would get together and we would just drill that material into the ground, just constant.
And that was 2003?
About 2003 when we first did that seminar.
Was the PTTA already founded back then? When was the PTTA founded? Not yet, huh?
Oh,
okay.
No. No, PTTA wasn't even a discussion at that time.
Okay.
It's fun kind of look back at some of the logos and stuff. At that time, probably after being with Jared for about a year and getting to know Grand Tuhan, and speaking with him at that time, he was very much into his pit bulls And every school that he was establishing or every school he was associated with, they were picking up these pit bull names.
Okay.
And so for, I think our very first, like group name was Wasatch Pit Bulls.
Okay.
Because the Wasatch Mountain Range is right there. But
Yeah.
I don't think that really went anywhere for about 6 months.
All right.
And Jared early on was doing like the TRICOM. He still had, or Triangle Combatives, and
Okay.
that morphed and grew. And we had, it was, you know, our Pakiti Tersha Kali, as it kind of progressed, he's the one that coined the Pakiti Tersha Tactical Association. You know, there were a lot of different iterations, little names or little groups that came out of it, and early starts, I think, before actually settling on that name.
Okay. So the TRICOM was before the PTTA association. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not sure that he was calling it TRICOM at that point, but he was doing a lot of work. He was still a full-time police officer.
Yeah.
And working and training police officers in the Salt Lake area, and still doing some jujitsu and some of the boxing, these elements that went into the Triangle Combatives. So again, you would have to ask him exactly when the names, you know, were officially coined and they became official, but
it was there.
Yeah, it was there.
Time, yeah.
Because around that time, he had a contract with the 19th Special Forces Group out of Camp Williams in the Salt Lake Valley. And he was teaching knife and stick tactics and, you know, a lot of this defensive stuff. And then when he would bring GT in, we would have like 3 or 4 days, because Lamont and I jumped on that as quick as we could. We'd go down and we'd spend 3 or 4 days helping him out with the Special Forces guys. And then we would have 3 days with GT. And then we would go back to his place, and sometimes I would try to stay an extra day or two after to get that private time with GT.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I think I've heard about Jared working with the 19th, right? Special Forces Group.
Right.
Yeah. That's good then.
Well, kind of the short and quick explanation of it. And, you know, I would say again, me and Lamont. I had another friend in there too, Nathan Nedick, that started early on with us, but he stepped away from the martial arts, and, you know, family life has taken up his time, I would say. So he was with us for probably the first 3 or 4 years also. But we experimented with a lot of stuff, not only creating our own stuff, but we tried some of the grappling. Again, not having an official instructor.
Yeah.
You know, we'd look at, I mean, Gracie's we didn't even have online at that time. So there was no Gracie's online program. It was, again, Bruce Tenger's judo.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
flip through the book and it's like, oh, armbar. Let's look at the pictures on how to do an armbar and try to throw that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
yeah. Talk about terrible. I mean, just set some poor habits in place. Had some wrestling guys. There was a couple of seminar, you know, that occurred in the Rock Springs, Green River area that I tried to jump in on. Actually spent probably about 2 years before Kali doing Japanese sword work.
Okay.
Got connected with one of the Kempo instructors that we knew from Missoula, Montana. Chris. His name slips my mind. He was bringing in an Iaido teacher from the Seattle area. The school was Ishiyamaru. And he had a seminar in Salt Lake, then he had one in Missoula, and then this guy was kind of doing like an early online training. I think at that time you could upload videos to YouTube, or he would post videos on YouTube on the different cuts and stuff to do. And again, was into that for about 2 years. Spending huge money on hand-forged knockoff Japanese swords and cutting straw mats and being very formal before jumping into the Kali, which totally different environment than the Japanese martial arts.
Yeah.
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 Oh, Lamont Glass actually made a comment, and the
Yeah.
Kenpo weapon forms sucked.
Yes, they do. That was one of our big problems on it, looking at those Kempo forms, because like Form 7 was a double stick, but it was meant to be more like a baton, like more of the weight at the end, and they were Kempo techniques against guys with empty hands. It's like, so I have two batons, and you're trying to punch me, and I hit you 17 times. This will work out well.
Do you still practice Kempo?
I do. Not as active as I was. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu about 4 years ago, and at the time, so I was having some issues with the Kempo school, both personal and professional. At that time, I had made it. I'd been promoted up to a 5th degree black belt, and I'd spent about over 20 years, probably 22, 23 years in there. And I couldn't see, with the differences that I was having, how I was going to balance the Kenpo, the Kali, and also be, effectively working at the Jiu-Jitsu. And so I made a choice. I left the Kenpo school and spent more time more on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and teaching my Kali classes.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. I think there are once you get to a certain level, you can already see like some of the stuff they don't go together anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and being there, the class had really dwindled off. Not a lot of adults in it. Not a lot of interest. Even today, a lot of we don't get the same interest in martial arts that we did before.
Yeah,
and so you spend 20 years learning. It's like I've already got an instructorship in a whole nother system, and I'm here at this other school. It's like, what are you going to teach me? Another 30 techniques that look like the other 30 techniques that I've got? Teach me, a 10-step ending to a technique that I already have, and just it wasn't enough to it wasn't going to keep my interest.
Especially if you have to make choices and you need to concentrate on something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then and part of driving me now. Yeah, absolutely. And you wouldn't believe I get a lot of help from my wife. She calls martial arts my first wife, and she says she refers to herself as the second wife. So when it's like, oh, I'm starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I'm going to do that on these other nights when I'm not doing this, you can imagine it's like veins popping out of her head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not happy.
My wife is actually watching right now. I think she's thinking the same thing. I hope she's not going to make a comment.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, martial arts gets more time than I do. It takes more practice, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah. One time I told her, well, martial arts were here before you.
Oh. Ew.
I can't say that to her. I can't say.
Did not go over well.
She commented. Sorry. My wife commented.
Yeah, I think
not so bad.
Yeah, I think before we move on, let's say good evening to everybody who's watching. So you got Frank, you got Bernardino Pilino from the Philippines. Your wife, Martin, is there.
Martin's wife.
If you're watching, guys, please say hi and tell us where you're watching from. Okay, and again, if you got any questions for Mandala Jason. Poor Mrs.
So say, finish the comment to the wife. Oh.
I think you're gonna have a discussion, Martin, after.
I think I'll be fine. She's pretty cool with that. She knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to, you have already started your journey now to FMA. So basically besides what basically paved the way to joining FMA. Maybe you can also like tell us what are your like lessons that you managed to take from FMA as you were basically practicing and teaching it. What are your lessons basically that you can share with us?
Say, my old Kempo instructor always told us, the motions are already there. Everything that you ever need is already in Kenpo. You don't need to go and learn all this. But, through the process of reinventing that wheel, we weren't making that connection. Mm-hmm. When we got into being, instructed by Tuhon, Jared, and GT, they were able to show us those connections. We were able to find those connections more clearly and put that together and finally see it's like, yes, these, we got 2 arms, 2 legs, our joints all move the same way. It's like, yes, those motions are in there, but it's only because of that excellent instruction that they were able to pull that out and help us to make those connections.
Yeah. That's really important.
And I mean, even through the similarity, weapons are still different. One of the very first lessons that I got from GT, which, I mean, it clicked, it made me think, really kind of hooked me in. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with him, but he can be very blunt.
Mm-hmm. I heard.
Now, I've got a friend who works with him, so
I had spent all these years in Kenpo karate and done all these years in these other Japanese martial arts, and very formal. And with some Kenpo schools and some guys, it's very your lineage is very important. And I went and I introduced myself to him, and gave him my dissertation on my lineage and everything. And he just kind of sat there, only half paying attention to me and listening. And he pulls the knife out of his pocket, and he shows it to me and flips it out. And he says, 3 hours of this beats 30 years of your karate, and just walked away. Like, man, talk about just crushing you. But it made a lot of sense then working with him, and he was moving, and it's like, oh my God, this isn't the old, drive forward with that one stab and you're blocking, you're getting instant control. And exactly like Martin's doing.
Yeah. It's almost like one shot, one kill type of.
Yeah, absolutely. And he goes here, and then he changes it. It's like, you just cut my defense against this. You're destroying me. So it was a huge eye opener. And I think that's probably colored my journey from there. Because a lot of times when I train and I work with my guys and explain to them, we've got people of all different sizes. And you can spend years and years and years learning the mechanics on the perfect punch and the perfect strike, and you can put it in the perfect place, and you will probably hurt me. But any fool can pick up a knife and kill you by accident.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's very true.
It changes the game.
It does. Yeah, I do remember because I used to teach Aikido before I did FMA. So normally when you practice your randori with Aikido, you're always working with basically a complete action, a complete thrust, a complete cut and everything. So you don't really get those type of sewing machine type of movement or retracted ones. So in the randori section, where we normally have the knife as well, I have to make a separate randori where we try to basically to simulate now attacks from the Philippine setting. I would say from the Philippine setting, because we're in the Philippines then. So you've got that sewing machine, you've got that reverse knife grip hold as well, and then you've got all those attacks with the stick or with the machete, wherein everything is not completely committed. So you've got the traction as well. So that paved way to a different type of practice that we had in Aikido and in our randori, because everybody becomes now mindful that you can be baited into doing something, and then they're gonna do something else.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and the sewing machine, they don't go and keep their arm steady. They go like this. So you have to make sure when you catch it, you have to catch it well. So redirect it, you have to redirect it well. Otherwise, you're gonna pay the price.
Exactly. If you're in range and you're able to make that connection, then you've got to stick to that connection. And
Exactly.
And sometimes you got to chase them down rather than letting them come to you.
Yeah.
But I look at that stuff because I think almost everybody that I've talked to, I've never, well, I won't say never. It's a very rare occasion I run into somebody that has done only FMA. Most guys started in this martial art, that martial art, here, there. So they've already got that element of what they've already learned. And I'll try to take things like that and liken it to, or look at it in a historical context. That Aikido, yes, a very hard, very solid, committed strike. But if you put that on a battlefield in Japan in the 16th century, and the guy's wearing 100 pounds worth of armor, that's how he has to try to stab you with that knife to punch it through your armor and get it in. And once you're committed with that weight behind you, you're going.
Exactly. That was my theory. Also, you're not going to do this or this on the battlefield with an armor. You need those big committed. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
You got that, and then you got the Filipinos running around on the beaches and passing knives in their hands and machetes.
That's another story.
Yeah.
I have a question, if you don't mind, regarding to the knife, the teaching curriculum in the PTTA, because I follow with my coach, Sébastien Poirier, the curriculum of the PTTA. And as soon as the first beginner level, you see some knife attacking techniques. Do you see any ethical problems like that? How do you approach it with beginners? Do you vet your students first? How do you approach it?
In my personal group, yes, everybody's vetted.
Okay.
You can't control that in like a seminar situation. You can't control that online. Once you put a curriculum together and you put it out there in the world, whoever's got the money and the time can pick that up and start to look at it. I will say I feel that there is an ethical problem to that, but on the other side, I mean, if they can get it from you, they can get it from 100 other people.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you have to consider the source and you have to consider the training that goes behind it. Back to my other example, that's the idiot who can pick up a knife and kill you by accident. That's why the repetition and the training on the other end, the receiving end or the counter offense is so much more important.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Sébastien, my coach. He's vetting his students. Before being able to train with him, I had a 1 hour and a half conversation with him at his home. And then he decided, okay, I can teach you,
Yeah. A lot of the vetting we do, and it's probably the reason my classes remain so small for so long, is you're a friend of somebody in the class, or somebody in the class knows who you are and can speak towards your character.
Yes. Yeah.
You have a trial period. I've had new guys start in, and it's like, we were working counter knife stuff. Oh, new guys coming. This is somebody, introductions. How do I know you? Blah, blah, blah. Go on Gel Tracker and see if you have a record. If you've been arrested or not. And then we change curriculum.
Yeah, or he's doing knife and he's saliving, He's doing knife, he's saliving. That's a red flag.
When you start asking, how would this kill somebody? No, it wouldn't. No. Or we switch to something fun like Humog, or we the Hubud with hard contact and start slamming arms and forearms and doing conditioning work. And if they come back the next week, then it's okay. If they don't, maybe they didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I do the same. I actually do the same. So anybody who comes to me because I want to learn the knife work of the Filipino martial arts, I go, let's do Hubud. Let's do some drills. I mean,
especially someone who wants to. Especially someone who only wants to learn knife. He's like, I'm here to learn knife fighting.
That's usually a bad tell.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
but this I've had 3 recommendations that have come in here in the last month. Well, 2 are a couple from the jiu-jitsu school. Nice young couple, some curiosity. It's like, that'd be fine. We'll bring them in and check it out. Another guy, ex-vet with some serious PTSD going on. We brought him into the class. We dropped back to just doing footwork and repetition and talking and just kind of feel him out where he's at. You know, the next one that was suggested was one guy in my group is a mental health guy. And he's like, well, which is weird because then he's like, oh, such and such from the Rock Springs police department was interested and would like to start. It's like, you know, I think pretty much if they're from the PD that they're probably been vetted already and moved past this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not 100% guarantee, but we'll bring them in. We'll try it out. We'll see how they do. Oh, hold on. It's going to be loud here for a minute. My wife's coming back with the dogs.
Oh, okay. No, there was one time I was asked by somebody if I can basically give him private lessons, especially with knife work. So I basically told the guy, okay, get a CRB check, and that's basically a police check.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're clean, then I'm gonna think about it. But and then after that, I never heard from the guy. So
That told you everything that you needed to know.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it was funny when I did the seminar up in Toronto with Chris Madigba. We had a Quebecois guy come in, and this guy was asking the most off-the-wall questions. But you know, as I'm going into instruction and explaining and working into anatomy and that, he's maybe if you guys.
Quebecois guys are the worst, believe me.
That's what Greg said. You don't watch out for those Quebecois.
Experience, Martin.
Just some of the offhand questions that this guy was asking about, you know, the knife, or what if you did this? Well, would it kill them if you did this? How far do you have to go to kill somebody with that? And it's like,
Oh boy.
It's like, yeah, I know. Those
we're taking lunch early and then we're switching subjects.
Yeah, that's how you deal, right? I was about to say, how do you deal with someone like this in a seminar? It's wow. Okay. Yeah. Huh.
Okay. Tuhon Jack says hi, and also Tuhon Dani Terrell.
Oh, all right. The PTI guys.
Yeah, Chris Mandigmas said commented on your reply earlier. We had that one guy who was like that at the Toronto seminar.
Must be the same guy, same Quebec
guy.
right?
Same guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of knife, I don't know if it's because maybe we're gonna. I don't know about you, Tom, but it seems like we could dive in the self-defense subject a little bit.
Yeah.
And I have 2 questions in regards to self-defense, but since we're talking about knife right now, let's start with that one. Let's say for someone like like Tom and I that live in countries where knife laws are very, very restrictive. So let's say for someone who doesn't carry any weapon, no tactical pen, no kabutan, no knife, no nothing. Would you say Kali is still relevant as a self-defense art for them? I have my personal opinion on that, but I want to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, my opinion. Yeah, clearly relevant, still relevant. Because with the Pakiti Tersha and the PTTA material that we go through, they're very base, they're very core drills that are in that curriculum, but each one of those drills we can fit in with our transferable methodology. Mm-hmm. So maybe, you know, like our Kole Mama drill or Sabayan. You learn the Sabayan with the stick. Once you get your motion proper with the stick, you can transfer that to the knife. You can go to double knife with that, and then you can go to empty hand. So then it ends up becoming very much, it looks like a lot of the old tempo stuff I did, or some Krav Maga where you're striking
Yeah.
Blade of the arm, hacking. You're using the points of the fingers again. But,
Zero pressure, and
absolutely. You're still moving and you're shifting. Then you've got your arm drags, and the entries that we teach or finishing techniques on all of these drills go into the Dumag and the Pangamuts, and you just use, arm drags and hooks in place of catching with the knife.
So still relevant.
Yeah. And you still always have weapons of opportunity.
Yeah.
You may not have a tactical pen, but you still can carry a BIC, an aluminum bodied pen, stuff like that gives you a little bit of impact and a little penetration you can get to get that surprise, to shock that central nervous system.
Just to have this equalizer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was telling Tom just before you came in, before we were on air. Live, I mean, it's since I cannot really carry a knife, especially I'm working in a high school. That would be weird. I tend to specialize on. I try to focus on weapons of opportunity. What I can find around me. I enter a room. I try to focus on. I train myself to see what I could use, and it's a fun mental training also.
Yeah. But some of the Jason Bourne stuff's maybe a little outdated. You can't grab that book anymore and hit him in the throat. You have to get your laptop.
Yeah,
and then you don't want to do that.
Pens. Nobody uses pens. Sorry, your stylus. Pop your stylus out of your phone.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe get yourself those stainless steel straws too. You're just environmentally conscious, and you're.
That's true. Aluminium ones.
That would be a good reason to carry one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
My chopsticks. I don't like to touch food.
I only eat food with chopsticks. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right. But you just need a good backstory.
Yeah. Especially in Canada here, the law, especially for knife, everything self-defense is about intent. So, So theoretically, I could carry in Canada, I could be walking around with a katana in my back. But what's my intent, So, and the problem with that, even if I carry a knife and my intent is to cut apples, if the police officer decides that, no, your intent is to hurt someone, I'm in trouble,
Yeah.
So, and even actually any kind of everyday object that you can carry that has either being sold for self-defense, that is a big no-no in the UK. So like, for example, if you buy like a tactical pen and it has those window breakers and everything, or the crowns, nah. So it's really important that you get to a stage wherein, if you're teaching self-defense, you teach them how to become aware of weapons of opportunity, rather than teaching them like EDCs, how to carry EDCs.
Right.
To deploy EDCs. So it's better, in the eyes of the law.
Right.
So, depending where you live.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I like to build a lot of my drills after, we spend so much time. The other night, I have a guy that's getting close to testing on his Dalawa material, and it's got, heavy on the thrusting and that on the Kole Mama platform, and started showing him this little hook over and under the arm to move into a trapping position, and then, then translate that into punching also, instead of a low line number one thrust. If you're curving it right, it's an uppercut. So your uppercut flap or an uppercut hack, and how you're passing that material, and you can then, where I don't have the knife, I'm hacking down on that attack, and I'm hooking over or under with my hand to pull an arm drag and be in close quarter.
Yeah, same principles, different techniques, but same principles. So it's there. Yeah.
Start teaching some of the cross stomps and the knees and the low kicks to it gets frustrating adding that into drills, because then you've got guys kicking you in the knees and such, but the application that across the empty hand is right there.
Danny Terrell right now in the comments just said, within the drills, one is learning reference points and moments in time within the flow for entries for attacks. With this, then anything can be a weapon, and that's
Exactly.
exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the importance of basically also like the relevance still of learning FMA for self-defense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It gets you into that mindset.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And yeah, having that defensive or your tactical mindset.
Yeah.
You're not defenseless because you don't have a weapon in your hand.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny because most people that don't know Filipino martial arts, they say, "Oh, so you do fencing?" I say, "Yeah, I do Filipino fencing." I don't try to explain
Filipino
anymore. I'm just like,
fencing.
"Yeah, I'm doing Filipino fencing."
No explanation.
Yeah.
Let it just let their imagination decide what that's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuhon Jack commented, flashlights are really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
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 And it's actually
Yeah.
pretty much easy to carry a torch or a flashlight anywhere you go. So it's
Yeah.
a handy tool.
That's the
Yeah.
best excuse, right?
Exactly.
Right. That's one. So I carried mine through Canada. When I travel, I have my my tactical man purse, and
Tactical man
one of
purse.
those items that's in there is a flashlight. You know, a little 511 flashlight. It's not big, very unassuming, and very small, but pop that into the eyes and think, pop somebody in the head with it, and get some of these more sensitive points on the body. But I came in through customs with it in my bag. It went through both airports, not a problem. And then walked around with it. I had it with me in the Philippines, but the security in the Philippines is completely different.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, they go, this is expensive. Can I have this?
Yeah. my favorite is the guy at the door with the drumstick that, opens your bag. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
I actually went back from the Philippines with a suitcase full of weapons, and I declared weapons on the card. They put me aside, and they said, "Why did you click weapons?" I said, "Well, I wanted to be honest. I didn't want to be in trouble, right? I was coming back from the Cacoto Separatist HQ. I was bringing back sticks, machetes, and everything. And I had the T-shirt, and I said, well, I went to train in the Philippines, which was only like 1 week out of 1 month, but that they didn't know. And I said that, so I brought back sticks, machetes for the masters here and everything, and they didn't even open it. All right, go. I was like, really? All right.
Yeah.
So it depends on the guy, right?
Yeah. You're right. Next time, write souvenir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here it's the same. You can have like a souvenir, and it has like, especially if it is well envelope, or it has a good presentation. But if it's something that you can immediately draw, they're gonna go, armed police.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's follow up on the self-defense, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because I know you're a big proponent of sparring. For you, it's important. Which is better in your opinion, for self-defense? Combative systems that focus, really combative self-defense system that focus solely on self-defense, or the other extreme, combat sports, where there's no tactical aspect for the streets or everything, but there's a lot of sparring and a lot of pressure testing. Which is better for you? I know the right answer is a bit of both.
Right. Well, a bit of both. Definitely, it depends on the student. I mean, everybody falls on a spectrum. Once again, you've got your technical, scholarly type person, and then you have the person that is just a fighter. They'll never have the technical skill and know 15 different finishes and steps in this 18-part drill. But you put a weapon in that guy's hand and you fight, and he's going to club the crap out of you. You've got to be on your game fighting him. So that really is kind of how I focus my curriculum too. There are some people that they promote based on technical skill, and some promote based on, I guess, tactical skill in fighting. But it's important to have both, because I've had numerous students come through. They want to learn all the skills, you know, they want to learn that knife, but then they don't want to spar.
Yeah.
And without pressure testing, you never know if the technique is going to work.
Exactly.
And you never know how you're going to react to the pressure.
Exactly.
You know, because we can rep a motion 100 different times. You can have it down perfect in a drill. You can do it every time I feed you the appropriate attack. And then we put on the mask, limit your vision. Your heart rate jumps up because you've been out there bouncing around, and you're stressed because you're going to get hit. Your heart rate is up, and I feed you the same thing and you miss it every time. You have to have that. You have to have that stress applied to it if you're going to use it in self-defense.
Yeah.
Because if putting yourself in a self-defense situation, you're going to have adrenaline. You're going to have that stress. You're going to get that tunnel vision. You're going to have to think through your own fear to get yourself up and moving.
Yes.
And although the sparring environment is not a perfect mock-up of what that real situation is, it gets you close to it.
Yeah,
I heard it explained before, you know, it's like walking you to a cliff. The real fight is jumping off the cliff. We're going to just take you as close to the edge of that cliff as you can without actually jumping off into that chaos.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Sparring is a good way for you to explore, to experiment, and because it also presents you an opportunity to do decision making in a split of a second. That is something that you can bring on for self-defense situations as well. So it is really important.
That's why the sports aspects, in my opinion, I agree with you both, has a lot of value for self-defense. There, you can drill like four techniques in a class over and over again, and at the end do a pressure test where you don't know which of the 4 techniques you will be attacked with at the end.
Right.
It's still not sparring. It's still not sparring, you know?
Right. So even you know, difference between drilling and sparring and self-defense. I'll just keep the same reference. I'm teaching you Pakiti. I teach you the Kodemama platform because it's in there. You got the low thrust, maybe the high thrust. You got the slash. You got the proper response. Your 3 techniques on each side. Very simple. To start that slow as smooth, smooth as fast. You learn that drill. You're touching, doing it as light as you can, and perfecting your footwork. Once you get that and you're moving well, I start to move a little bit faster. You don't get to go fast right away. You start to go a little bit faster, and then you got to move a little bit, and then I start encroaching on your personal space. So now you're having to shift and you're having to move, and then I start hitting with just a little bit more force. So if your body posture and your hacking techniques or your counter defenses are not on key, you're still going to get stabbed. You're still going to get slashed.
That's true.
And so eventually, we're going, 75, 80%, and we're hitting with about 75 or 80% on that. And then back way off again and go back to just the touch and working different ranges in and out. So then I can, I like that crashing in and scaring you and putting you under stress and then backing it off a little bit and let you reassess.
Yeah.
And I don't let guys quit. If you mess up, say you get, through the drill, you mess up, you don't get the right slash, you don't get the block, you get hit, get back on track.
Exactly.
Yeah, just continue the flow and
Yeah.
None
of this, stop, throw down your hands and go back into the drill, or okay, reset, feed me that number 1 again. Well, you have to find the number 1.
Yeah. That's true.
I'm just going to keep hitting you.
Yeah.
Speaking of drills, sorry, Tom, you wanted to add something? Go ahead.
I was about to say that there is the beauty of like progression when it comes to training and drilling, and especially if your teacher or your instructor knows how to pace things around, because otherwise it's either everything is crashing or everything is so distant, and you don't get the reality in during the training, because if there is no intent, there is no reason for you to move properly. That's where everything goes.
Yeah.
So
It's like people practicing and defending when against a punch, but the attacker feeding would not even connect. You practice at the wrong distance. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of drills, there's there's like two school of thought. Even though I have my own opinion on that, and I don't really agree that there's two school of thought. But when it comes to drilling, some people say that some arts focus on drilling, and some other arts focus on attribute developments. In PKT Tertia, we know there's a lot of drills. I know I'm training in the art. There's a lot of drills. Where do you stand on attribute developments? Do you see some attribute developments through the drill, or how are they developed through the system?
So I would parse those out at first. You say skill development and attributes.
Okay.
I would think like you take like a Sumbrata drill, right? Feed, receive. I defend, I attack, defend, attack, defend, attack. That's going to build that skill and reactivity, but that doesn't teach you to think, right? Mm-hmm. There's not that attribute building where this angle comes, at a certain point, if that angle shifts and you haven't been taught that response, you failed. So you really, so what do? Do you build a drill that's huge, that again has 10, 15 different steps to address all of these angles? Or do you build a system where you're responding to an attack? Which I do a little bit with the Pikiti material, and some of it as far as if breaking the body into different quadrants. Line down the middle, line across your center, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, and say, this drill that we're doing now, this addresses this attack from angle number 1 this way, 2 this way, 3 this way, 4 that way. And if I change from slash to thrust, I don't want you to change your response, or depending on what the drill is. It may be we're just working inward 4 wall, 4 wall, 4 wall. So whether it's a slash, whether it's a thrust, find a way to get around that and respond to it, because it's all coming from the same area.
Same line, the same
quadrant.
And then I teach a series of drills for more of that technical aspect, more of that reactivity, like in the sparring, because you get some people, they don't want to spar. They see people get hit, they get smacked, they don't want to get hurt, they don't want their knuckles busted up. But you take some of the violence out of it and slow it down and make it a drill. I'm literally just, we'll start off, I'm just going to swing a number 1 and a number 2. And your drill job is to attack. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 different things to work on in order to target my hand and be able to hit it. And then I'm going to do the same back to you. And now I'm going to teach you 2 or 3 ways to slip your hand out of this that you're trying to hit. And then you're going to do the same. And so now we're playing this cat and mouse game where we're now chasing each other's hand and arm, and it can come from anywhere at any time. And you then have to react to that, rather than being set in this focus of, oh, that's a 4 wall there. Then I do a roof here. Then I give you a 1. Then I down the block. Then I thrust. Because I emphasize all the time to them that the fight is not the drill, but the drill is not the fight.
Definitely.
Always elements. Always just elements.
And within a drill like Col de Mama or Sabayan, whatever how you call it, there's some variation that you can throw in. Like instead of starting the drill low, boom, the next set I start a drill high.
Right.
I will do a number 8. That will practice these attribute developments also, because there's still a margin for not improvisation, but different attacks you can do. It's not a mechanical drill where you always do the same thing. So varied enough.
And you have to build those elements one piece at a time and get that muscle memory to build that reactivity, and then you randomize it. But on the other side, as the feeder, you've got to learn the proper timing when to insert that too.
Yeah.
So to limit your,
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
plus, in that, I think in that respect, you'll be able to like progress as well by
Right.
giving like a different type of stimulus, different type of combination,
Mhm.
encourage the receiver basically to experiment more. Okay, and sometimes even the changes of angle makes them
Right.
see, okay, this is the what ifs. These are the nuances that I need to become aware of as well.
Mm.
So
Right. Right.
yeah.
And a lot of that stems from early practice with Lamont when we would do that, because we would go down and, we would learn one drill from Jared. And it's like we go back and you drill it. After about an hour, you're like, what happens if I stand this way? Let's do this. Let's try a female
Yeah.
triangle. Let's try this on a male triangle. What if I'm moving backwards at an angle, forward at an angle? What if I come from this side and do it? Let's try it left-handed.
Yeah.
So all these just stack, build that skill,
Yeah.
building it to a point to being able to react
Yes.
rather than be stuck in a drill.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Like a
definitely.
free flowing like response system. Yeah.
Right. A randori.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
Randori. Yeah. Gentlemen, let me just get my cord so I'm not crashing my computer down. I'll be right back. Please continue.
All right, okay.
I can't believe I am prepared.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have at one point um, shared with us some of the methodology of the way you approach um, self-defense, teaching self-defense and FMA. So,
Mhm.
it how does your profession? I know you're a nurse, okay? So how does
Yeah.
your profession affect the way you approach uh, teaching FMA and self-defense?
Yeah. Yeah. I teach FMA and I'm a nurse, but I'm not Filipino.
I know somebody commented
It
that.
could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I saw that too. Like adopted. I'm adopted.
Yes, you are.
Now I've gone and so I mean, heavily influenced. Again, with vetted students, and I did a bit of it at the Toronto seminar also. Knowing why, and some of it goes back to the Kempo and some of the old Japanese martial arts is proper body form, proper body structure. This is stuff that I'm finding in jiu-jitsu also. Triangles, circles,
Yes.
squares.
Yeah.
Finding, was he okay?
Yeah.
Found his torso and fell down. It's fine. But yeah, letting them know, this is the reason why you're not thrusting straight. This is why we do the circular thrust, and knowing what structures are behind, where you're stabbing. Had this discussion again the other night with the guy. He's like, his number one angle, his low line thrust was starting to float out and away from his body as he's stabbing. And I'm like, what good is it going to do for you to stab there?
Yes.
First, it's too straight, so it's more easily counterable. So make it circular. And as he's making it circular, I'm like, it's literally coming into a point where it's going to be striking at my ribs. The angle of your blade is perpendicular to my ribs. You can't get in between them. It's going to strike, if I'm wearing clothes, you're going to get hung up in clothing. If you do penetrate and make contact with the body, it's not a vital area. You're dragging on the fight.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's
bring your angle down, change your angle, hold your blade in this manner in order to do all kinds of deleterious things. And I'll show them different, physical structures in order to be able to, I'll say, find those kill zones.
Nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, early on working with GT also, it was, you have 3 thrusts and you have 3 areas, which show us 6 areas on the body, instant kills, neck, armpit, groin, on the back, nape of the neck, kidney, and again, going into that pelvic floor into these sensitive, highly vascularized areas that don't have the muscle and they don't have the bone structures covering them. And then everybody looks at us like, oh yes, very serious, writing it down in their notes, 6 places, stab in the neck, but then no further discussion. on the anatomical structure. It's like you say neck, you've got this big area.
Yes.
There's lots of different places that can be hit that can do a lot of damage or just a little damage, or you know, depending again the angle on you hold your knife. This is why your attack comes in at this angle, because it takes, you know, creates the opportunity to strike these areas rather than just this blind, oh, I ripped and cut skin.
And plus, when you're, of course, when you're teaching it from the self-defense perspective, knowing those actually gives them a better idea of what's going to happen when they get hit, and how much time frame they've got before they start losing blood, they start losing consciousness, or they start becoming dizzy, or all those things, isn't it?
Exactly. While you tuck your chin, while you keep your hand in, while you extend and retract.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want to hang it out there, and you don't want to leave it in that area. Why? You know, when you move in, you're perpendicular to the person, you know, putting your head in alongside the shoulder so you're not catching these backslashes and cuts.
Yeah. All the mechanics, you basically manage to put them into proper context while you're doing it.
Try to give them a little bit of knowledge on top of that. And then when we do the drills and we're actually playing with this stuff, when they mess it up, then I stab them and just go, ha, see?
You forgot this.
I told you to get in close and control that elbow, and now you're dead. Go stand in the corner, next person. You know?
And that's one of the values of practicing the knife, even for someone who doesn't want to carry a knife. Because how can you learn how to defend against an attack if you don't know the attacks, if you don't know how to use the tool, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So even looking at that beginning material, again, with the new student out there in that second level, that Yakandalawa, we have the mano adaga, or essentially the knife tapping that everybody does that knife passing drill. I've seen it every Filipino system. You go on YouTube and you can spend days watching thousands of videos. You watch everybody with this hand, I can get that in there. In there on the hand, back of the hand, this so you don't get cut, you know, because that takes these veins and these tendons out of the way, and then they pass with the back of the hand. And I teach it that way initially, and then I start teaching them to hit with the blade of the arm.
Yeah.
So then when that comes, and then targeting on the inside of your arm, targeting that radial nerve, and I've got guys hitting with that on that initial thrust, they hit and pass and drive that down, and the knife goes skittering across the floor because they've struck that nerve and the hand is open.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The same way when I teach it, that I use this first for safety reason, because some of them, they don't want to get that being tagged by the hand blade, because otherwise basically you wear a protective, like a forearm guard, to be able to get to that action. But I prefer using this more rather than this.
Because using the blade of the arm is like using your shin,
and you're still in that mindset of counter-attacking, of attacking. This one, for some people, sometimes they get into the mindset that I'm blocking or parrying, so they lose that momentum that they need to generate for that counter-attacking.
Right. And then structurally, just not very sound, because that can be collapsed back into you. And when we start getting harder on the drill and throwing those thrusts that I'm intentionally putting in there hard enough to go through, if you're here, where's my camera? If you're here, it's going to collapse in on you, and I'm going to stab you and slash you. Here, it's going to hurt.
That's true. Yeah. Again,
like you said, it only start with that kind of waiter hand position and that passing at first before going to the hack. Unless the person comes in and he's a Quebecois and he's asking about knives right away, then
that's true. And we've tried this. Basically, if you use the passing one, but the person is using more of like a wide hook, so it wasn't like a slashing action. So by the time that your hand comes down, that arm is already away. Yeah. And it's already basically being chambered for second attack. Yeah. So, that's why I still prefer using hand blade. Basically, it allows you to like disrupt, to interrupt to basically intercept the attack as well. Yeah, but for
Right,
safety, for safety reasons, some we use that just to stay soft, because
Yeah,
otherwise you're gonna end up with a lot of bruises on their forearm.
exactly, exactly. And then nobody likes to get hit on that radial nerve, but then to get hit repeatedly in the same spot over and over and over again, which
Yeah.
I mean, to a point, it has to be done. You got to have a little bit of conditioning, but that, and then incorporate that into the footwork. So now you're hacking more in on a perpendicular line, bisecting that directly and knowing where that nerve first comes out from underneath the muscles. And that helps, that little bit of anatomy.
So Chris Mandigma is saying, ha ha ha, make fun of those Quebecois. Yeah, my compatriots are gonna hate me.
Yeah, you have to be careful now, Martin.
You do. We can make fun of those other Canadians all the time, though, too. He stayed at my house for a little while, and he was here for a couple of days and did some training before taking him back to Salt Lake. Well, while he was there, I start sending him text messages. It's like, hey, how come this package of maple bacon is in the bed you were staying in? Is that maple syrup on the pillow? Is that stupid? It's stupid, but he plays with it. Chris is a funny guy.
Yeah, he looks like a very very nice guy. Never met him, but it's gonna happen. I mean, we're very close, in the geographically. It's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as we open back up, there's a lot of us. The same as Sebastian, working and watching his material and everything is, put it out there, because he's pirate dog.
Yeah.
We're together. We're gonna have to train sometime, and then we got to cross sticks. And I think that got him excited.
Yeah. He's he's a dog brother, huh? So when you're a dog brother and you talk about the stick fight, it's like throwing a bone at a dog. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Most normal people actively avoid pain.
Some don't.
Some of us run to it with a smile.
They go towards it. Yep.
Yep. Like, ooh.
Yeah. It works like an aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Danny commented here, some drills are for attribute developments, others are for developing specific responses, and others still are for solving different problems, which is
Exactly.
And it's as a teacher, it's really important that you know which drills are for which. Otherwise you don't actually maximize the potential for your students to grow. And
being able to parse that out for them, and afterwards, it's not a place that you begin, but afterwards, I think when they've been there for a while, that's when you start bringing in, showing them how they've built that skill to, bridge these other techniques.
And also that basically allows you to bridge the separation from movements and from drills as well, because you manage to link them together, but you show them basically which drill basically developed this more, which drill developed this more, and then all the nuances behind the drills, behind the movements. It allows you to link them together eventually.
So one of the fun things I've been doing here for the last year, in regards to like that skill development, is taking these drills. So we'll take a 3-step sombrada, or a 6-step sombrada. So 3 on each side. You strike, counter offense, offense, counter offense, offense. Build that and build up the skill and build up the striking, and then after everybody's kind of set in that technique and has a good routine, throw on the mask and gloves and go fight. But, I ask them to demonstrate motions out of there so that we can try to bridge that gap between the fighting and the drill. Now, you're not going to do 3 strikes. The guy's probably not going to defend and strike, and you defend and then you strike. Let's say if you do a 1 and a redondo that's in the drill, like a puño sombrada, it's put that into your drill, show that, get that in there. And then trying to read that motion and see he's crossed his arms. Here's that redondo motion that's coming in. Maybe I shield or umbrella back out underneath that.
Mm.
And then I can just turn that and drop it back in. So we'll parse out these little pieces, 1 step or 2 steps from each of those and put them together in those combinations and, okay, go fight.
Yep.
It's like you want it free flowing and you want it easy, kind of a light sparring session, but I need to see these motions.
Yeah.
Because how many times do people, they practice for an hour class and then they start sparring? They forget completely the
Everything
techniques
is out of the window.
Yeah.
It's just like, goes out the window. Yeah.
So that's been good for the new
nice.
guys too, to give them something to focus on, at least to give them a technique to attempt.
Mm.
Yeah.
I liken it to your boxing drills, right? You're right. Jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, hook. Okay, now go spar.
Yeah.
Throw a jab, cross, hook. Show a jab,
Get
cross,
them to use
hook.
it.
And
Same thing.
to try to put them in that same framework that, this is a drill, you're building an attribute, but here's a quick, here's a way to make it an application also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need to have practiced them before trying to apply them. So you need both. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Good. Have we got any more questions there, Martin?
On the feed,
No more
questions. My questions were almost all asked. So I don't know, Tom, if you have any more questions in regards of self-defense or anything else. For me, it looks good. And so far on the chat room, it looks good also.
Yeah, I basically have. It's. I think there's only one that I wanted to ask Jason, but backtracking a little bit. So, what is your top 3 biggest take in your FMA journey? So maybe it can basically relate to yourself to teaching self-defense or whatever. But yeah, what is
My
your
top 3?
take?
I'm sorry, that broke just a little bit. My top 3.
Take in your FMA journey. So it could be your realizations or whatever, or lessons learned. So
That's a good question.
Yeah. Like I said, that first lesson from GT with the knife, that was a big one. Is 3 hours beats your 30 years of karate. Huge for me, like just crushing, but I understand. The great thing was I would say the application of it across different arts. Even when I was in the Kenpo and working, it's like for the longest time in there, we were taught stances, but not so much the transitions and changing of the feet. I learned the Filipino footwork, and suddenly it's like, ooh, this keeps me from getting hit as much and keeps me getting away. Gets me in, gets me out.
Yeah.
So cross training.
Yeah. 3. I have to come up with another one. I don't know. It's been such an eye-opening ride. It has been so much. It has been so much fun. The awesome thing is, small town Wyoming from nowhere, and this has opened up an opportunity for me to travel all over the world and train and work with people from all different cultures, all different countries, and that has really been tremendous.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of the great things about FMA, meeting people. I mean, the same thing with me. So I mean, I went last year, the same time that I was being interviewed by Dean, but at least now I'm getting to meet more people like yourself, like Martin, and then doing the interviews now as well. So
it's fun. Yeah. Because the
Great
community
people,
is still it's still very a niche martial arts, not when I say to people I'm doing Filipino martial arts, they're like, what, they have a martial arts, even Filipinos, so it's still very a tight-knit community, even though there's a lot of politics, of course. It's still a very, like, not secretive, but you know what I mean. It's like when you meet someone who's doing Filipino martial arts, it's like, wow, and then you exchange and then you talk about it. So it's a nice way to meet people.
that's been great. I was March I was in Hawaii, and I had on one of my Bikini Tertia shirts, and we went to Pearl Harbor. So walking up, and I get in there, and one of the rangers there that's working the entry, he's like, "Hey, what do you got on your shirt? What's that say?" Gets real close, and he's looking at it. He says, "Oh, Bikini Tertia." He says, "I used to do Via Brio." And we just started talking and sharing stories, and pretty soon I'm getting the look from my friend. He's like, "Hey, I'm going in now. I'm going to look at stuff." And it's like, just 10 more minutes. This guy lives here and did Via Brio, and then he went to Texas and he did some other system here, and then he came back over here to Hawaii. And
it's amazing.
You know, the training and the teaching. I mean, this is great with the online training program and with the podcasting like this, and meeting and talking with you guys, and again, just people, cultures all from around the world. And this last time being in the Philippines, being there in Siquijor, I think we had almost 200 people that came in to train and getting to teach. And I mean,
wow,
getting to work with people from all over the world and teach them and exchange ideas has been.
You're talking about the PTTA conference in the Philippines, or
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2019, before everything shut down.
Yeah. Oh, you were lucky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you how lucky. That was a black cloud that was just trailing right behind us everywhere we went. As when we were there, one of our trips we went to Taal in the volcano. Yeah. And we went up on the rim and we looked in and we took, the boats back and forth and riding the horses up, and then we went to Siquijor, and that's the hurricane came through. Oh. Just missed the island and turned north, and it went up to Manila. And so we were delayed a day getting back up to Manila to fly out because of that. But we get on that plane and we get back to the States, and Taal erupted. Oh. It's like, I mean, it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks that I was home and that volcano erupted. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then we got back in December. So COVID, unknown early in January. In February, it was known. March going into the shutdown. So yeah. Another one timing, right on the tail end of all that. Yeah.
Good timing. Wow. Perfect timing.
I knew last year I even did a charity seminar for those who are doing a relief goods or relief operations for Taal victims. And then COVID happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that for the victims of Taal?
Yeah. So, they were because they were like luckily during that time, because they were like relocated, a lot of them. So and because they were like almost like closed borders from the rest of the area, they managed to stay clear of COVID for a length of time, because nobody is going to them because they're relocated and everything. So they had one of the few places in the Philippines that had like few cases. So luckily for them, because otherwise they've got multiple problems in their hand.
Oh yeah.
And actually, Taal is actually active at the moment as well.
Is it again?
It is.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it's they do have a situation on their hands. So hopefully
everything will be okay.
Yeah.
I know some people that live pretty close to the house. So
I have a lot of friends who got relocated.
Oh yeah.
That's because they live in that area. I mean, that's a gorgeous place. They lost quite a lot of business when it erupted last year. So
I bet it was devastating.
It was devastating.
I mean, the environment and their economy there, it seems that it relies pretty heavily on that tourism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
on tourism and the handouts from the people that go and ride the horses up the hillside.
Yeah.
Actually, because there would be the people on the side of the road, and they'd be selling bottles of water, and they'd tell you it's like or try to sell you a Gatorade or a Coca-Cola, and it's like, okay, thanks, I'd get it and pay for it. I'm not going to drink it. I don't drink sodas. And I would give it to one of the kids, and I watch a kid run up the hill and give it to somebody else, and they try to sell me that same Coke again when I got up. Sorry. You guys are off. Sorry, I got my dogs running.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yeah. So, on that note, with your takes on FMA, what message or can you give to the FMA community at this point? Yeah. Words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom. No, we need to talk more, have more conversation like this and sharing.
Yeah, that's true.
There's, like you said, there's so much politics. Even just within Pikiti, when I first started.
Oh my God.
there was Pikiti. I could go to Texas and train. I could go to New York and train. I could go to California and train. And now there's, we're the tactical, we're the global, we're the world, everybody's like, build their little communities and protect them. We need to get back to that cross training and sharing, and even across styles.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's really true.
Not the mine is better than yours or mine is bigger than yours subject, but how do you address this?
Yeah.
You never know. There may be something of real value in there that you're missing that you yourself would like or could share with somebody.
Yeah. And that's the nature. It's supposed to be the nature of Eskrima. I think it's Kakoi Kanyete that said the only constant in Eskrima is change. That was his quote. So in order to have change, you need sharing. In order for your style to be still relevant nowadays, you need sharing instead of dividing and keeping in secret.
Yeah.
Well, that's my view anyways. Yeah. Yeah. So you're right.
I would agree with
more
that.
Sharing.
Yeah. And it's actually one of the things that Dean managed to carry on basically start the ball rolling with this FMA discussion. So people like us managed to get together, share our views, listen to everybody's views as well, experiences, and learn from each other, which is really good. And like I know FMA is still a bit tribal in a sense, but we have to be able to get around that.
Right.
Yeah, that being tribal. Yeah.
We can keep that tribal flavor, but still share. It's part of the flavor, but
exactly
sharing can happen.
We can still do that. Yeah.
It's very much human nature in that regard, but.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good thing. Yeah. How about our viewers? Do you have any question for Mandala Jason?
all four of them.
We're at 6 now, I think, and no questions on Quebecois, please.
No further reactions and comments, please.
Do not speak.
Do you have any plans of seminars and workshops while we're basically here?
Nothing in the books right now. We were doing one in Toronto in October, but that got closed. COVID restrictions once again.
I know.
Oh yeah. So put the brakes on that. We will be doing our PTTA conference in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
August 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there, for 3 days, and that too will be available. Portions of it will be available online.
All right.
So if you got, for training, we tried it out last year. I think it worked out pretty well. Get that information out.
Marty, you can go to Salt Lake.
I don't. If I go, I don't know if I can come back. That's the thing. We don't know with COVID. No?
Oh, because of the COVID restrictions.
Yeah. But
They'll let you back. You'll have to live in a hotel for 14 days or whatever.
but Chris Mandigma just said that PTTA Canada conference tentatively scheduled for May 2022.
Oh, yeah,
So
well,
hopefully,
yeah,
hopefully.
May.
something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm supposed to speak with Njoli this when we do the PTTA about possibly being out in New York. Other than that, nothing. Just little stuff I do here locally.
Mm-hmm.
Like last week we did, or 2 weeks ago we did the second, or I guess it would be the first annual, because the first one couldn't be the first annual because it was just the first, right? Technicality. Did this barbecue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totally, stole that from Lamont Glass. We cut targets, we cut meat, we cook it up, and then we beat the crap out of each other. It's a fun day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a way to beat the crap out of each other and then eat together. Why not?
Right.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Bring that tribe together.
How about do you do online classes that basically you can, if you want to promote it to anybody?
I don't. The only stuff I do online is with the PTTA through the Gabay program.
All right.
I've talked with Tuhon Jack a couple of times. We've tentatively got something set up to do a joint training session over Zoom. I'm new to that. We'll see how it goes. I've had people ask me.
Jack has been doing it for quite some time now.
Yeah. I've had a couple students ask me that too, and I've had some people pushing me to do that kind of online training. I'm unfamiliar with it, so I haven't made that jump yet.
Yeah.
And my timing, like the other day when you called, I was still at work.
I know. Sorry about
that. No. It was planned. It's fine. But some days I get up at 3:30 in the morning to be to work at 5 o'clock, and I'm not done until sometimes 5:30, 6:30 at night. And then to think, and it ties up my weekends too. More often than not, if I haven't requested the weekend off, then I'm definitely working that weekend. And so to try to put together something online,
it's kind of hard, especially with your profession.
Yeah.
To be able to get that regular schedule for like for Zoom meet, for Zoom lessons.
It makes it difficult to plan.
Yeah. But how can besides Facebook, how can people contact you across social media?
I'm on Instagram. It's like Jason L. Jones 52. The Facebook or the Messenger messaging me directly is just fine. No issues with that. I have my phone number and address and that link to the PTTA webpage.
All right. Okay.
If they're looking to make contact with me.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. That's good. They're very valuable information for those who would like to contact you.
Yeah.
Basically, see your videos or in Instagram as well. I hope you're not into TikTok yet.
No TikTok. No, I haven't done any TikTok yet.
Sorry for those who are.
Come on. No TikTok. Come on.
Yeah. Don't encourage Paulo on that. That'll be the next one. I'll be posting silly videos of me screwing around doing stuff and putting that on TikTok. That's me at my worst.
Well, at least he has been doing quite a lot of putting your videos out. Yeah, because that's how I normally see your videos when you do I think seminars or something or trainings as well. Yeah. Kind of known as the smiling killer.
Oh yeah, I heard that in the test run. Yeah.
And I do remember Tuhon Jack asking that. Ask him what makes him smile.
Hitting people.
Hitting people the correct way.
Yeah, hitting people,
correct response.
getting your timing down, or being able to bait you into a shot so I can hit you. That's yeah.
Cracking a smile.
Yeah. Glowing.
You gotta have fun with it.
Oh, of course. I mean, how would you learn as well? Basically, you learn through your mistakes. You have to start.
Right.
You have to take it. You have to acknowledge it. Yeah. Have fun with it.
Exactly.
And grow.
Makes it easier to learn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Everything that you do, as long as it's fun, it makes it easier for you to learn. Even you're basically under pain.
Right.
It's fun.
It's the pain, and sometimes crude jokes help out with that too.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from our audience?
No, we asked them
Yeah.
already. Everything is no.
Yeah, Jack and Danny have already turned it in for the evening.
Yeah.
The small pleasures of hitting someone hard. Said Danny. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Nothing. Yes, it is a small pleasure.
That only FMA practitioners will understand.
Exactly.
You talk about to someone about hitting someone with a stick, and it's fun. It's like,
yeah, it's almost like doing a victory dance when you manage to like stink the ball in the back of the net in football or something, right?
Yeah.
It worked.
I always tell somebody it's not that I like to fight. I hate fighting. I hate being hit, but I really like to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the mountain biking. Like, you have to have that uphill ride to get the downhill.
That's
Everybody likes the downhill.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
That's right.
Okay, so I mean, I think if you don't have any more questions,
do you have anything else to add?
And anything else to add?
Nothing jumping to mind real quick. Just, any old just basic chit-chatty stuff, but I feel like we've covered quite a bit.
Yeah, actually,
it was very interesting.
Aside from just breaking out sticks and just starting to throw ideas back and forth.
No, it was very interesting. Thank you so much. Seriously,
I have one here.
Nice.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and thank you for hosting and having me on this. You guys have had some big names and some big talkers on there. I've enjoyed the podcast and the information I've gleaned from it. So very much appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we do. Thank you very much for coming as well. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation to be interviewed. And I'm very honored, basically, to meet you as well.
Great. One day we'll get to train.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
When I get basically across the pond. Same as with Martin, we do have problems with COVID restrictions still. Yeah. But
unfortunately.
Yeah, hopefully
Eventually
next year I'll be able to like when I visit my brother, because my brother lives in California, so I might start like moving. Yeah, when I get there.
Do some vacationing, see the States a little bit.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna
do. One
of
these days, that's I won't say bucket list stuff, but that's definitely on the list, is getting back over to Europe and doing some sightseeing and some vacationing.
Yeah, let me know if you come over here.
For sure.
Yeah,
I'll contact you and put messages out to the people I know. We've talked. That was actually going to be our one big trip this year. We were going to do Scotland and Edinburgh, and of course, you got to hit London when you're down there. It's like when you come to the U.S., you've got to see New York. You go to Manila, or the Philippines, you got to see Manila, right?
I've got a good friend here, Jim Panlilio.
Panlilo, yeah.
So
talked to him online and exchanged ideas, but never physically trained with him. So
so we can make things happen. I can basically coordinate things with him here. If you want to do anything, we can.
Oh, yeah.
I can work with him. So he's a very good friend of mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. We get the opportunity to get out there, do some vacationing, and my absolutely love it to be on vacation with me and then have to put up with my martial arts. It's not
cracking a smile or two. Cracking a smile or two, you know.
Be like, I know we're scheduled to be here for 10 days and we had all these plans, but on one day I'm going to be meeting these guys to do some Kali. So do what you want. It's girls' day, girls' free day.
Yeah. Bring her to Camden Town Market. She's gonna enjoy it there. Yeah, that's my tip.
Maybe we can send her out with somebody else's wife to experience it and explore.
Yeah.
They'll send her down to White Castle. She likes that true crime and murder and stuff. And
okay.
At the Jack the Ripper down in White Castle, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna be enjoying it here.
There we go.
Yeah, so let's just let you know. We'll get things.
Okay.
We'll get things sorted. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for coming again, Mandala Jason. It has been a blast talking to you, and it's actually good to hear from your perspective, your teaching, your methodology, your journey, and thank you for sharing it to us, to all the viewers of FMA discussion.
Yeah, thank you very
Hope
much.
to see you soon.
Well, you're welcome. It's great to meet you guys and talk with you. Have a good evening.
And
stay sharp, be safe.
Enjoy the weekend. Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Right. So there you go, folks. That's Mandala Jason Jones. And we do hope that you enjoyed the discussion with us together with Martin.
I did.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was fun.
Yeah.
Great guy. Yeah.
I know. And it basically is, I mean, with the discussions that we had with Mandala Jason, it's just way past styles.
Yeah, exactly.
We managed to discuss quite a lot that basically we do enjoy from every style in FMA, and they're very good points of views as well.
Yeah.
So
it was very, very enlightening, very, very interesting. I liked it. Cool, man.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a nice evening, Tom. Have a nice evening, everybody.
You know, it's already 2 a.m. in the morning.
For you, it's night, huh? Right. Good night.
Yeah. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Guru Tom Peña, signing off.